Not to be racist, but how are people black when the first two people that were made are white?
I've read through the Bible quite a few times, and I might have to read it again because I can't remember where it mentions they were white. They were naked, though.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. In case you're new here, my name is Maren.
And I'm Maureen.
Right, so a lot of biblical facts are coming out to light, and for the longest time, many of us were made to believe that biblical figures were white.
Right, and this whole avalanche started when Putin revealed the true color of Jesus. And of course, black people, specifically black Americans and Jamaicans, they've been saying this throughout, but people didn't used to take them with the seriousness it deserved, because many of us were brainwashed to believe that Jesus is white, and so are the characters in the Bible.
Can you imagine that? Anyway guys, in today's episode we're gonna be playing you a video of her sister who is setting some biblical facts straight. So let's just watch that and then we come back and talk about it. But consider subscribing if it's your first time here, and share your thoughts and opinion on the comment section about what you think about this episode. Let's watch and then we come back.
If you believe in the Bible, answer these questions. Now, only one answers. I don't need no you lost or you dumb or none of that shit. Just answer my questions, please. And all these answers should match because y'all all believe the same book. So in the Bible, it says Adam and Eve was the first people on this earth, right? But then how did all other races evolve? If two Caucasian people or whatever race they was, how could they possibly make other races? And better yet, wouldn't we all be related? Another question, Noah's Ark.
My guy, honestly, it kind of make me sad how nobody in the comments can answer this man's questions, but I can. Alright, so first what you messed up at is when you brought up Adam and Eve and saying how two Caucasians can make other races. Let's start off by saying Adam and Eve was not white, they was not Caucasian. But two black people can make other races, which is called the Eve gene. You can just go read up on that yourself. Not to mention the oldest bone found in the world is from a black woman. Now let's get to the book of Enoch, which was taken out of the Bible. The book of Enoch was taken out of the Bible because it was rejected by the Jews, because it contained prophecies pertaining to Christ. Now let's get into how other races was really made while using the Bible. Scientists honestly proved that the Bible was real without even knowing it, honestly, when they found out about the Neanderthal DNA. I do not know if y'all know about the fallen angels. Everybody in this world was black to start off with. The fallen angels were sent down here to watch over the people, but instead they started having sexual intercourse with the people. With the fallen angels having sexual intercourse with the people and disobeying God, they had kids and created giants, which then giants started to have kids, which created Nephilims. And when the Nephilims began to have kids, they created Neanderthals, which scientists proved that Neanderthals did exist, which then the Neanderthals began to have kids. And not only that, where those people was living, there was a lot of sun. The Neanderthals couldn't take the heat, so they hibernated to the Caucasus Mountains, which then the Neanderthals began to have kids, which began to create this. Caucasians were made, not born. It's a mutation. Also, and since you talked about the bloodline, God speaks about how after the third or fourth generation, you lose a certain bloodline. Kind of like if a black person have a kid with a white person. That kid is 50% black, 50% white. Then say that kid goes back to a black person. Now that kid is going to be 75% black, 25% white. Then after that kid goes back to a black person, that kid is still going to have an itsy bitsy piece of a white DNA. But after that kid goes back to a black person, the white has disappeared and is soon to go back to its natural race. And is soon to go back to its natural race. So sooner or later that whole bloodline will be wiped out. So think about where that bloodline will be at after thousands of years has passed. You had a lot of questions, so now I gotta make a part 2.
Be related? Another question, Noah's Ark. So y'all truly believe that Noah grabbed 2 of each animal and put them on a boat and none of them ate each other? But y'all call me a deceiver and an antichrist for not believing in something that obviously doesn't make sense. So I just want to know, how do we repopulate after Noah's Ark if God flooded the whole entire planet and only Noah and his family survived? Y'all saying that Noah's our ancestors? So you telling me this guy right here, including me, and this guy has the same ancestor and we're all related? I really want to see what answer y'all can give me for that. Just think about how you sound while you're typing it. Another question, if heaven and hell is real, you have to die to go to heaven and hell.
My guy, so you truly believe that if God can speak to Noah and his people to create the ark, that he couldn't spiritually speak to the animals? to let them know not to eat each other? He created human and animals. I'm pretty sure he could speak to both. Also, have you not heard of the Eve gene? The Eve gene is a mitochondria DNA that could create any color of race. So let's talk about the book of Enoch that was taken out of the Bible. I don't know if y'all know the scripture of the book of Enoch where it talks about Noah's father and mother going up to Enoch telling him that Noah looks like the kids from the fallen angels, as if he's a descendant of the fallen angels. You can go watch my part 1 to tell you how people were created in different shades and forms. Noah was of a pale skin, albino. That's why his father and mother was scared of him and said that he looked like the children's descendants of the fallen angels. He was a pale skin and colored eyes. Also, God talks about the 4th and 5th bloodline, where your bloodline will wear out after a certain amount of generations. So yes, Noah did have to repopulate the world. Him and his family. Noah was albino and his wife was black, which she contained the Eve gene. After a certain amount of generations, your bloodline will wear out. For instance, if a black person has a kid with a white person, that kid's going to be 50% black, 50% white. Then if that kid goes to a black person soon, their kid is going to be 75% black, 25% white. And if their kid goes to a black person, that kid is going to only have like 1% of white inside of them. Then after that, sooner or later, that bloodline of white will be wiped out. That kid will only be of one race. That bloodline has been thinned out. Also, you can go watch my part 1 to show you how Caucasians was made, which basically answers this question also. But there were curses put upon his people. So after thousands of years, your cousin far on this side is black, and your cousin far on this side can be white. But you will never know. That's the power of life. And that's the power of Yah. So you can't also just read the Bible. You have to go read the parts of the Bible that was taken out also. It could actually answer all the questions that you're asking. My guy, science just proved that the Bible was real without even knowing it. Okay, so as y'all know, scientists just found out there's another DNA called Neanderthal DNA. Alright, so now I'm about to tell y'all why science just proved that the Bible was real without even realizing it. So scientists are saying that every race contains Neanderthal DNA. You know, Asians, Latinos, Europeans, Hispanics, and the list goes on. But they also say that every race has Neanderthal DNA except for African modern descendants, aka black people. Like, you know, they really just proven that the Bible really is talking about the black people and how they're the real Hebrew Israelites, the real Jews. No disrespect, but one of the scientists actually noted that it's kind of like them being the pure humans. Hey, that didn't come from me. That they said that. I'm just repeating it. Now let me tell you where Neanderthal blood came from. Neanderthals came from Nephilims. Nephilims came from giants. And giants came from the fallen angels. Now the Bible speaks about how the fallen angels were supposed to be protecting the humans. But instead they began to fancy them. And began to do sexual activities with the women and men. Creating children. These children became dysfunctional giants. Like those of Goliath. The one that David fought in the Bible. The giants soon began to create their own offsprings, creating the Nephilims, which allowed the Nephilims to create kids, which resulted into Neanderthals. Now, Neanderthal skin couldn't expose to the sun, so they had to move to a colder climate, aka the Caucasus Mountains. See where I'm going there? Which is where they got the word Caucasians from. Their skin grew lighter and lighter, which created the lighter skin pigmentation, which a lot of these races and ethnicities carry till this day. Now, Nephilims were giants, the violent offspring produced when wicked angels mated with human women in the days of Noah. The hybrids born from this unnatural union were no ordinary children. Since the Neanderthal blood is still alive, that just proved that some must have lived after the Noah flood. Otherwise, their habitation would have been washed away during this global catastrophe. This means one or more of the 8 people that was on Noah's Ark must have carried the unique genetic variations that Neanderthals possessed, allowing those genes to survive and to be passed on for a time before they eventually died out.
So guys, welcome back. Let us know what you think about the episode we just played you in the comment section, yeah? And for those who want to follow her work, her social media handle, TikTok, is Anya Heka. We'll be leaving the name on the screen so that you can go and look at some of her work, yeah? So the things she said, I remember this news going crazy in, was it 2023? 2024. When Putin released the true images from the archives of the true Jesus and the color of the biblical figures, and it made sense because
although it sent some palm-colored people into a rage because some of them did not want to believe that their Jesus was black, and this being that it was stemming from a racist point of view because some of them like to align themselves as good Christians. Of course, it's not all of them, and I feel like that is worth mentioning. But I feel the reason why most of them did not want to accept Jesus as being colored, and some of them even up to now refuse the fact that Jesus was colored, is because they don't want a mighty figure to be associated with people they deem or unfit, or people they feel like some sort of hatred towards.
Yeah, but it makes sense because imagine your whole life being lied to, because that is what a lot of people have been being lied to, that this figure, even when you look in churches, who do those images represent? Blue-eyed Jesus, So this is something that has been very familiar to people since they were children. So kind of digesting this kind of news is hard, but I guess we are all in the journey of learning and discovering, because this is information that people couldn't be able to access,
and now that you mentioned that, I feel like right now a lot more people are aware of this fact simply because of internet. Because a while back, even the era we grew up in, most of our childhood, like really childhood, you didn't used to see such kind of information. As the information we grew up with, the only thing that was next to godliness or Jesus was white.
Right, even angels came in form of white.
The devil came in form of blackness.
Yeah, so you do understand why some people are skeptical and some people still ask questions. And what I like Anya Heka, the creator we just played your videos for, is that she takes her time to educate people. Even she takes her time to reference these verses,
Right.
So basically, I feel like this is just a personal journey for people. If you want to know about these things, it's a personal journey, and it's every day is a learning experience, Another thing, I feel like the brother was asking legitimate questions because
these are all questions that we've
all had at some point, and there are people who are still asking them,
right.
And I feel like this is a good platform to educate people because the questions are valid. At some point, I always asked myself as well, if God only created Adam and Eve, and back then we used to think all these people, they were white because that was what was being presented to us, So you ask yourself, if God only created Adam and Eve and you assume that they were white, how did all these other races come to be, and how was it that the world got to where it is right now in terms of population? Does it mean that brother and sister married to give birth to children, and like that the world population became to what it is? Some things I'm also learning myself because of our beautiful audience. So you ask yourself how these other races came to be, and you know that majority of the people in the Bible were black, and you ask yourself, where did white people come from? And the sister has just explained about the Neanderthal DNA and how they came to be, about the fallen angels who were sent down to protect the humans, and they fancied them and ended up doing sexual activities with them, therefore creating the Nephilims, and the Neanderthals, and that's how the world came to be what it is right now. But I'd encourage you guys to go do your own research, because it's a lot of things that are still, in the process. It's a lot of things to digest,
Right. And right now, much as we have all these informations here and there, I do feel like the whole entire picture, like the whole truth, we can never really know the whole truth. Maybe bits and pieces and parts of the truth, and only God is the only person who knows the whole entire truth.
Anyway, guys, let us know what you think about this episode in the comment section, and also consider subscribing if it's your first time here. As usual, we appreciate you for keeping us company,
and we'll see you on our next episode.